abstract it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You want to keep it abstract for as long as possible. So the first thing you want to do when the model comes back is not just dive right into it. You want to stand back and say, all right, what's the worst things in the painting? So right now this is really sticking out because it has a hard
Yeah.
edge. So anytime you have a hard
Your
edge, it
chin
draws
sticks
your
out.
eyes. Yeah, so just
Your
by
chin sticks out.
yeah. So I'm just going to soften that a little. This is popping out just a little bit too much. So here's the paper towel again. You know, it's your best friend. It really is. So you just want to just ask yourself a couple things. This is a little too hard. I can take a little of this white off in here. Now that's a little better in here.
Yeah.
So this is where, because painting is so hard, it really, really is. You're problem solving, you're being creative, you're looking for the magic, you're standing on your feet, it's physical, it's mental. So you get tired very, very quickly. So you really want to use all the tools that you have in the toolbox to finish this so you can do it well, and that's having mirror. Because using a mirror, turn around looking in the mirror, you see it backwards, so you see mistakes very, very quickly. Another thing is standing back. And also using the cup over your eye, it takes a lot of this ambient light away. And it's almost magical. It's a free tool and it's there when you need it, so use it. So you can see right there, I didn't see that before I did that. So just standing back, I still am not using paint. I'm using my paper towel. Softening all the time. All right, so now I'm going to go in for the kill. No more fooling around. So the worst thing in the painting, you know, the eyes are definitely the center of attraction. So at this point, it's all at the same level of worst, so now I'm going to really focus on his eyes. Put my glasses back on here. So now I can see him really well, but he's a little bit fuzzy. So it's all good. So the worse my eyesight gets, the better my painting is. Who would have thought? So, yellow. All right, so and one thing that a lot of people do wrong when you're painting the nose is they paint, you have the light of the face and then the shadow and then the highlight here. And people always paint this line around the nose, where what you should really do is just paint that light part there and just put a little bit of highlight in there, and that's all you need. I'm going to kind of repair some of this right now, a little bit. Again, I don't have a lot of paint on my brush, but I'm going to start in the lights. I'm going to start putting, when I have a color I like, I'm going to start laying down some paint, because that's the fun of really, when you're going in for the finish, when you know that you don't have to put stuff on top of it, is putting the paint down and getting that extra texture down there. It's really important, that variety. I'm still squinting like my life depended on it. Because you don't want to see the details until the very, very last part. And you see, when I have this set up, I'm not moving my head like this, just jiggling my eyes back and forth. The second you do this, you lose all that in the translation. So you don't want to do that. You want to just be able to jiggle your eyes back and forth.
Can you see it right there?
So now this eye, because it's on the light side of the face, has to be a little bit lighter than this eye, which is on the dark side of the face. And I'm still softening. As I'm putting my colors down, I'm always softening. I'm going to use this color everywhere before I put it down. So, yeah, if you go on my website, you'll see over 400 paintings. I'm known in my town as the hardest working artist around. And it's the truth. I mean, I was painting I've been painting about 10 paintings a week.
Oh, wow.
That's the average. And, you know, really, really nice loose sketches from outdoor, plein air. Having a ball. And what I've been doing this summer, because I teach every morning and I paint outdoors with the classes, I have a lot of morning paintings. So this summer I didn't go out until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I just did my studio work or play Candy Crush. I mean, did I say that? And then I'd go out at 2 and I'd do 3 paintings in a day. So I'd just follow the sun as it moved. Because I had so many morning paintings, I'm like, I gotta change this lighting situation. And I just had a blast. And of course, the sun doesn't go down till 8. So that's really hard to stay, you know, up till then. You know, never mind driving home in the dark. So it takes a lot of energy. It really, really does.
Yeah.
But boy, did I have a great summer. Oh, great summer. So if you go on my website, I have one page with all my new stuff. And then I separate it by cityscapes, landscape, portraits, still lifes, landscapes. I do everything. Painted weddings. It's pretty scary.
Now, that's something I never heard.
Well, you have to
done
be
before.
fast. So a lot of artists aren't up
Painting
for it.
weddings, I never.
Yeah, it's a new thing. Eva Longoria was like one of the first ones to come out with it.
You have
Oh,
to get it
really?
before the divorce.
Yeah, that's the fast part, yeah.
Diane, do you keep-
So what I do is I go in and paint the, where they're gonna say their vows before they come in, and then when they come in, I throw them in the painting.
Ah.
And then, so the guests get to see a painting at the finish. And then I pack everything up and I go to the reception hall and I start with a white canvas and then paint their first dance.
Oh.
And then everyone gets to put a little paintbrush on it, so
Oh.
it becomes an
Oh.
heirloom. So
Oh.
people can come over your house and say, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
It's the hardest job you'll ever do. It's very, very hard work. But it's fun and I get to eat well. And I've done the Mattel family down at the Rosecliff Mansion. That was like a
Oh.
$500,000
Oh, boy.
wedding. So you really get to see the other side of life when you do these. But it's not for everybody. You can see how I'm starting to slowly
yeah.
pull this together. I wish I had my mirror. And again, even at this point, it doesn't matter if my colors are really that right. As long as I have my values right, it's going to feel right. And at some point, I feel like I always have to give the person a haircut. I tend to, it's something I do every time, so it's something I ask myself at a specific time. Did I make his head a little bit too big? Do I have to give him a haircut?
I need a haircut.
So when you do the same thing wrong all the time, you just have to remind yourself, you know, and go in the opposite direction. So a lot of times I'll give him a little less hair than I think is there. So it kind of comes in the middle a little bit. So see, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to bring that in a little over here. And the trick is not to forget, I mean, you have to stay focused. I just got a piano. I used to play when I was young. And I picked it up so fast. I'm so excited. It's such a thrill.
Wow.
But if you lose your focus for a second, you make a mistake. It's so funny. It's like I'll be playing the song, then I'll think of something else. Boom, I made a mistake. It's the same thing with painting. You really have to stay focused. You can't be la-di-daring up there. The second you la-di-dar, and I always catch everyone, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I don't know. You're la-di-daring. So you really have to stay focused because this is such a difficult job here. See, so I gave him a little haircut. You see, it looked like him a little more. He looked old, too old before. And now we've taken off about 10 years.
I told you I liked her, didn't I?
That's the thing. If you're going to have your portrait painted, you don't want to look worse, right? You want to look better. So that's what you pay him for.
Good luck.
It's this part of the world, you know. It's like people are just, it's that Puritan attitude. Like you can't look at yourself. Come on. Stop it. It's my job. I'm the god of my own universe. I can make it look anywhere I want. You know, and a lot of it is up to the model too. I mean, you're sitting still, you're doing a good job. You know, if you have a model that's not sitting still, it's totally uncomfortable up there. They're making your job a little bit harder than it needs to be. So if you ever have the opportunity to sit for an artist, you don't, enjoy it. It's fun.
Children are the worst.
Well, not really. Because, when I do those half-hour portraits, I get all kinds. But, yeah, little boys tend to be the worst. But the little girls can sit there. I painted this one girl. She was maybe 7 or 8. And it's actually, when you get my newsletter, I have a link to it. She smiles through the whole thing. It's amazing. Amazing. All right, now it's panic time. Because I got a half hour left and I got to make this look good. So now there's no more fooling around here. I gotta get to work. So I'm squinting, jiggling my eyes back and forth, putting the cup over my eye, using the mirror if I had one. I'm really trying to not make any more mistakes. It's not a time to make any more mistakes. It's not a time to play anymore. It's time to finish this puppy up. And again, you can see I'm working here, and then I go up to here. So you can see how I'm really popping around the painting. I'm not staying in one space too long. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to paint a portrait. You can't. I know Nancy Guzik works from the eyes out, and people think that that's what they should be doing, but only somebody who truly knows what they're doing is capable of painting that way. You've got to be able to get it down there and then compare. Compare, compare, compare. Just jiggle your eyes back and forth, squint, stand back, and do those important things, and slowly it will come together. Now when you're painting the mouth, really, the mouth should be very soft. The only place you should really have any hard lines is just in the corners of the mouth there. The rest can be very, very soft. And a lot of times people will forget the shirt and the background, and it's so important to do it as soon as possible, because I painted this girl with a really strong jaw once. I was so afraid of offending her that I just worked on that jaw and worked on the jaw, and finally I moved away from it and worked on the shoulders, and finally it looked right. And so a lot of times what's wrong with the painting is not what you're working on, but something next to it. So it's really important that you continue to work all the way around your painting, not get stuck in one spot. So if you ever want a workshop, I'd love to do it. If you can get enough people together, I'll go anywhere they pay me. I will work for food. Eat for food. So you can see I'm continue to soften and pull it together. Try not to panic. I was a bartender for 17 years. So, you'd always have this point where everyone came in all at once and you'd be in the weeds. So you really learn to say one drink at a time, and you calm yourself down. It's the same here. It's panic time.
Yeah.
So I have to just calm myself down and say, all right, slow down, Di. One stroke at a time, you'll get there. So that's the key, is not to panic. Yeah, you can panic, but just don't let it show. You can see I still haven't put his pupils in, or his eyelashes, or even his I really haven't done anything to his eyes. I'm just painting what I see when I'm squinting, and that makes a believable painting, portrait. Not painting every eyelash in there.
You paint what you see, not what you think you see.
What you know, right. And a lot of times people, when they do a portrait, it looks like themselves. Because you're so used to looking at yourself in the mirror when you're getting ready that you paint what you know. So your painting ends up looking like yourself. And it's true. So you got to learn how to really, and there's no shortcuts. So if you came here for a shortcut, you're not getting one. You have to work at it. Painting is 99% skill and 1% talent. And Sue will tell you, I went to school for 3 years at the that's with George. And then I went for 5 years at the Atelier on Newbury Street, which was right above the Guild, taught by Robert Douglas Hunter, Robert Cormier, Dave Lowry, he's the only one that's still alive, and Bob Moore. And then I studied 3 years with Cormier privately, and then from there I got out of school and I painted 5 to 7 days a week, 3 to 5 paintings a day, until I had my daughter. And then I still painted that much almost.
I heard the Guild moved to Newbury Street or something?
The Guild is still at Newbury Street.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I, used to be on by Mass Ave though, wasn't it? Across from the
Yeah, they get it at the
train
Fenway Studios.
The Fenway Studios, okay.
Yeah, they're still there too. But things are changing now, and you know, things go in and out of fashion, and right now the academic classical way of painting is really kind of falling, and it's too bad too because oh my God, there's so many good artists out there now. So another way of connecting with me too is on Facebook. I try to post something every day because it is my business and it's free. And if people don't see your artwork, they're not going to buy it. So you really have to get around that in your head. Like my friend Carol, she's like, oh, I don't like to do that. I'm like, it's business. You have to toot your own horn. Nobody's going to know who you are.
You could be the greatest artist in the world, but
Right.
nobody knows
If
you.
nobody sees your paintings, how are they going to know who you are? And it's free. Why wouldn't you? So you really have, you know, Facebook is really a wonderful tool. Just don't put what you eat on there every day. You know, say nice things about people. See, so now I can even play with this. This is where my abstract parts come in. I can play at my edges. I still have 25 minutes. I can still play a little bit. Now this is a really long brush here, and this one here is about 30 years old too. I like using it because it keeps my strokes really loose and fun, whereas I don't want to get too tight. I want to keep it loose to a certain extent still. I know you guys were just dying for me to do this, huh? Yeah. But again, it's like, you don't stay in one spot too long because when I'm painting this one area, I'm looking somewhere else, and if that's worse than this, that's where I'm going. You gotta paint the worst thing first. And then I'll go back to that other part in there. You can see his face is kind of getting a little smaller, how I'm cutting it in, because again, it's something that I typically do every single time. Oh, Sue, I'm so happy you came.
I am too. I love hearing you talk about your work
Yeah.
as you're working.
It's been
You're
so
natural.
long. Do you see any of the artists around?
I
now?
do.
Who do you see?
Stoney Jacobs, you know?
Remember that?
You know, Rose Selman.
Oh yeah.
Remember
I'm trying.
Rose?
I'm gonna give her a private lesson.
No way.
Yeah, she's
When?
coming over my house one of these days and using my stuff.
Where is she though?
I think she's in North Carolina.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, she's
Yeah,
not
she's
local.
gonna come up here for a couple days. I
Oh,
said,
how
don't bring your
cool.
stuff, just use mine.
Oh, she better call me. I'll be mad.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, I'll definitely, we can all get together.
Oh, no, I see people, occasionally. You know who I would see, I don't know if you knew Carol, out in Nahant?
Oh, Carolyn, yeah.
Carolyn. And
Yeah,
then I
she's a
lost-
good friend of mine too.
You know who I've lost track of is Nadia.
Oh, I didn't really know her. I haven't
Yeah,
seen her around either. Her
She
work.
went down to, the border down there near Providence, where is it? Anyway, Pawtucket area.
Yeah, I dropped out of the Copley Society too, because they just,
They don't do anything.
and the prices are just so high to be there now.
Yeah.
It's like when an organization starts making profit off the artist, and it's
Too
time
much,
to leave.
yeah. You might as well sell it yourself.
Yeah.
Well, if they aren't bringing in new client or new sales for you, yeah, you have to say.
Yeah, I think that the person that's running the place is probably the worst person I've ever had.
Oh, that's too bad. It's amazing. It doesn't, you know, it's about the people.
Yeah.
Good people.
Well, she runs it like it's a country club, her private party, I think. And it's a shame. So after 26 years, I dropped out. Are you in Copley?
No, not.
Were you thinking of joining it?
Oh, yeah.
Don't do it.
Well,
It's too expensive. It's like $700 just to join, if you can
That's
get
ridiculous.
in. And then it's $10 per painting.
yeah.
Wow.
And then $350 a year to be a member.
Oh, my
And they
God.
say, well, we compare it to a New York place. I'm like, well, you haven't sold a painting of mine in how many years?
Is that the guild?
This is the Copley Society.
Oh, Copley,
Society.
Coastal, yeah.
I had friends of mine in there. But I
Kill
was a
that
photographer and I was with
Yeah,
Professional Photographers of America.
yeah.
I was certified through them also. And then it started getting, the prices started going up and then
It's just not worth it.
for me to put in, one of my pictures was gonna go Epcot. And they said, oh yeah, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and this and that. By the time I ended up, it would cost me $500
Right.
for it to go Epcot. So I said, I can't afford it. You gotta
Right.
buy it.
And then for the fresh paint auction, they want you to donate 70% of the price that you get.
It's good.
And you can't get over $1,000 on your painting. So that usually covered your membership fee.
Oh,
And then they had specific size, and I'm like, all right, that's it. So now I go out on fresh paint day and do my own thing, and usually sell it.
Especially
And,
these days to get members, so they have to be careful. I assume you're.
There's always somebody that will join.
I'm almost positive you're with the Portrait Society.
I used to be, I'm not anymore.
And-
I do the best on my own. That's what I don't have to pay any fees. I talk to people at the easel, and I sell off the easel. Give them a price they can't refuse. Which is kind of sad because, I went to school with Sergio Raffo, Sam Boki, Brian Blood, and they're all making six figures, and here I am still schlepping away.
Hmm.
You're great. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'm so happy in my life right now. It's like, it doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter,
That's number one. Yeah, I know. That's. I've met millionaires. I've given paintings to.
Yeah.
It's just. It's how you feel sometimes. It's not money.
when you sell a painting right off the easel, do you take a photo of it before
course.
before it goes?
Yeah, because I got to brag to
Yeah.
everybody I sold
Yeah.
that painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also
I mean,
good record keeping
Oh,
for
yeah.
the government.
I paint so much. I don't even know where my paintings are half the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
But if
honestly,
you look at your book.
sometimes I go, where did that painting go? I have no idea. So that's not good.
Oh, you don't
because-
keep a record of them all, a number of them, or? do you?
Look at my website.
Okay.
Yeah, and see, it's like,
Thousands.
I paint 10 to 15 paintings a
Oh,
week.
my, yeah.
You add that up in 52 weeks. I paint every day, all day long. The only thing I do that's not art is go to the gym so I can keep painting. Just,
Wow.
to keep
That's
working.
wonderful.
You can imagine her classes,
Oh.
right?
Wow.
You do classes for people, right?
Do what?
Classes.
Classes? I teach every morning from 9:30 to 12:30.
Wow.
She can show you a ton of stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a good teacher.
especially in a short period of time. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because you know why? Because I know how hard it is. And I know how hard it is to get information. So I like to be very open with my information because it hasn't always been that way for me.
So people keep their,
Yeah.
their skills
Like,
for
even my
themselves.
husband's like, why do you want to tell people how to become better artists than you are? And I'm like, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
We're all different.
Yep.
And the more generous you are, the more generosity comes back to you.
Exactly.
So
Good
there's my little
philosophy.
eye thing now. I don't see the whites of his eyes. Really, I don't. I see it's just a shadow in there. So now I can start putting in some of the eyeglasses. This here I can soccer. Still have 20 minutes.
They
I
had-
can do it!
I've had this top professional photographer, Kodak, hired him to go around the country. His name was Dean Collins, and he used to make millions of dollars going around. And people used to ask him, he used to show everybody the way he used to do photography. And people would ask him, aren't you afraid that people are going to steal your photography? He said, there's only one Dean Collins.
Yeah.
He said, everybody wants to try to do what I do. Go at it.
But yeah, I
But there's
mean,
only
we
one
all
Dean
have
Collins.
different ways of thinking and different
Right.
opinions, so, you know, it's not a healthy way to be cheap with your information.
Right.
That's how you learn. You actually learn by giving it
And
away,
things
too.
come to you, surprisingly, it comes to you by you giving away.
And my teachers, Robert Cormier and Hunter and all them, they were the most generous people I know. And if they weren't generous, then I wouldn't be here. So I have to repay that too. And that's what I try to do when I have kids come into my easel. I wanna burn something into their brain that says art is awesome.
Yeah, and it takes people like yourself to make that awesome too.
Do you have a lot of young people, students?
I do. I have a couple 12-year-olds. They're now like 14, and they're brilliant. Because at that age, they're open and they're not stubborn, and they do whatever you tell them. Whereas an adult might have been taught by another teacher, you know. So it's much harder to teach older people. But I prefer to teach beginners than to teach people that have taken other classes, because I'm not going to be fighting with them. But I have a really good following at home, and I have really fun people in my classes, and when I came here yesterday and today, and look at those poor saps in the cars on the opposite side of the road that have to do that every day.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just thanking
Oh, yeah.
God the whole way here that I don't have to drive in 9 to 5 traffic every day. Thank you, God.
Yes,
I paid
yes.
my dues.
Can I say amen and hallelujah?
Yeah.
Because I used to do that.
Yes.
That was one
Going
of
into
those
Boston. Whoosh,
And
back bay.
I'm like, I just don't know how you can do it.
2
Panicking to
hours
get there
into
by
Boston
9:30.
and 2 hours coming home.
Yeah, it's, oh my God, and it's worse than ever. I mean, how many cars are on the road
Oh,
now?
wait,
It's like, oh,
Now you only have like about an hour. If you get out between 10 and 11, then you don't have, you have a lot of traffic, but not like it is at 3 o'clock.
Right.
But,
Oh my God.
It's terrible. The traffic is absolutely awful.
Trying to get to wedding last night.
Oh,
what
great.
was it?
Yeah,
For,
that's-
and then I get to paint in Cohasset and Tewksbury.
Oh,
Yeah. Every day I'm in another
Yes,
beautiful spot
yes,
with
I used to
awesome
be in the
people. I'm
class
like,
with her
thank
30
you.
some odd years
Oh,
ago.
really?
So
I love my life.
With Roger Curtis doing
Oh, fun.
seascapes when she first started, she was doing seascapes. I
So
always
have
admired
you,
her.
have you had contact with her recently?
Haven't seen her since then, no. I mean, I didn't know her well, but I admired her work
I have
even
one of her
then.
paintings.
No.
Yeah, I
um,
loved her work,
Yeah.
it was beautiful.
You
Or-
exhibit at the South Shore
Yeah.
Art Association?
We did
I
it in
teach
the
there.
Oh, do you? You know
Yeah.
Sarah
Oh,
Rowe?
so she's still
Uh,
fine?
She was the head of
I
the
don't
theater
know.
for
You know,
art.
I've
for-
been
Oh, yeah, of
well,
course, yeah.
Oh,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful
I-
teacher.
Yeah,
Um,
I was there for
Maybe
a number
Rowe.
of years.
This
Oh,
other
really?
film arts
You
theater.
drove all the way
No,
down
it's
there?
for-
Theater, no, doing the
Well, sometimes I'd see her work at the Topsfield
Oh,
Fair
all right.
even too, but I haven't.
Yeah, she's
never
wonderful.
seen her.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that was in the early years.
Yeah.
Before she was really famous.
You know, down in my area, there's so much information on the web too, so if you don't like computers, you're really, losing so much information. There's so much good art and good free information online now. You're crazy not to, go in and check it out and learn. And therefore, there's much, if you look at American artists from 1980 and 1979, the work is terrible. And you look at it now, and everybody is brilliant. So you really have to paint every day, all day long, just to catch up.
I just found on the website, I was talking to Ricky about this other day, we used to go, there's a place around called Malden Sketch Group, and
Oh, yeah.
they're in Malden, and
Yeah.
we used to have like new modeling, and then on Thursdays they'd have somebody in a costume that would paint, but it was great new modeling, and it was hard to get out at night,
Mhm.
go here and
Yeah,
there.
It's hard getting out of
Then all of a
it.
sudden online, I found, what was the name of that place, Rick? The French word? No, it was Croy, Croys. And these models come out for just artists, and they strike artist pose for 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, you know. And it's fantastic. It's like you said, you can find anything online now that's just, and
Yeah.
it's free. And they have you type in the type model that you want, where you're looking for young, old,
And
heavy.
it's free?
and
It's an
free.
app?
That's so
It's
cool.
not an app, it's
Oh.
just a website.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
on
what-
YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
That, you have to sign in because you're an adult,
Uh-huh,
going in to
sure.
view it naturally. But,
Yeah, they're YouTube videos.
yeah, what was the
Oh,
name of
yeah.
that? You brought it up on your phone that
Let
night.
me see.
It began with a C,
Let me see.
.com or something. It was like, it was a fantastic place. And
Okay,
it was just
well,
like, we
Henry
used to
Winkler
have,
now.
we used to have, Moving Guild of Artists, we used to have our own, model sessions on Saturday mornings and afternoons, and ironically, we couldn't get enough people to go. We gave it to them for free. We had to pay $85 for the model, and we had a nice setup with curtains and all this and all that. And but we couldn't get enough people to go. It's
That's how
just
it is.
insane, you know, especially artists, because we had a large group. And then anybody that was a non-member, we charged $10 for, and we got a couple of those in, but it just didn't work out for us for some reason. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. He looks a little like Henry Winkler in there now. Has anyone that's seen that show, Better Late Than Never yet, with George
No.
Foreman, Henry Winkler,
No.
William Shatner? Oh my God, they
Is it
travel
funny?
together.
Oh,
I
it's
laugh out loud. It's so
Oh, no.
hysterical.
Is it on TV or is it?
It's
a
on
book?
TV.
It's a brand new
yeah, it's
show,
a
yeah.
new series.
Oh,
They
wow.
travel together all through
Oh,
Asia,
my.
and you just belly laugh them because
Oh,
they're
I
such
have to-
different characters, and they have to stay together.
Oh, what's the
And,
name of the program?
Better late than never.
Oh.
It's a riot.
Sounds good.
And sometimes, you know, when you're painting and you get stuck and you get nervous, sometimes it's just that one stroke that you do and you go, yeah! And I think I just made it, so I'm really excited because I was getting nervous there.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 hours is really hard to get, you know, a pretty finished portrait in there. So what you try to go for, rather than getting it to look exactly like the model, is that energy, that emotional quality to the painting. And I always say to people too, if you paint and you can't paint well, try to say something important in the painting. And you'll go to shows and see awards, and you'll say, what the heck were they thinking? Well, they caught that vibe. Sometimes it's what you're trying to say is more important than what you've painted, or the quality of what you've painted. So, you know, just keep at it, because there's just no shortcuts. You just got to keep going. See, now, if I was to have the time on this, what I would start doing is really start laying the paint down. You can see that I'm putting these big juicy strokes down, really trying to get all this paint down here. Now I can even use this paper towel, and just look what happens when you use the paper towel. You're getting this texture in there that you couldn't get with a paintbrush. And the viewer is just going to be sucked in and say, how did they do that? And, you know, it's just, the paper towel, it's just, you just can't guess that it'd be such a great tool.
Gotta get Bounty to give you money.
Yeah.
I know.
I think
I know.
we
Somebody
should do a
talk to
Bounty
them, will
ad.
ya?
I think we gotta work on that angle.
Well,
I
if
get
Richard Schmidt can't do it,
$50,000.
I don't know anyone can do it.
Do you paint, Sue? You like to paint?
I have, not to the, in any realm of what Diane's doing here. I do a smattering of everything. I'm sort of a jack of all, master of none at this
You're
point.
always gonna learn techniques, it all starts here,
Huh? Oh, I know.
you know.
See, so the lighter I get, the thicker my paint will get here. It's 10 off. I got 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
You can go as long as you want.
Yeah.
You don't
Oh,
have to.
really?
Oh, sure.
It doesn't have to be definitely 10 o'clock. Whatever you
Up
feel,
here, it
when you
says
feel
10 to
comfortable
9.
to say that you're done.
Oh, okay, good.
You're done.
He wants it finished.
Well,
Yeah.
I want everybody to feel comfortable on it, like this, you know.
It's great. Really, I
And
like
what
it.
I'm not doing at this
Dabbles.
point now is standing back as much as I should be. And it's bad. And even after 35 years of painting, you still have to remind yourself to do that. It's pretty close. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. And again, it's not, always about making it look exactly like a person, but just ending up with a nice painting.
Well, you're imparting yourself. I mean,
Right, exactly.
It's going to be an expression of you.
For me, painting the nude and painting the portrait is my favorite thing to do. But I can't seem to sell them around here. So I've learned to paint outside and have fun. So I just have to have fun, I guess. Commissions are probably the worst thing part about the job, you know, when you have to make something look like what somebody wants.
When I do commissions, I tell them the artist's representation that you're paying for. It's not, we're not supposed to, you can take a photograph of your children or whatever. When I did like children, I would meet the family, you'd talk to them, you'd understand them, and then you'd put down your interpretation of them. And I've had mothers and their parents crying. It was a Christmas present one time. They loved it. And it was nothing great on my part. It was just, I thought, but they thought it was great. But you have to give them the honest interpretation. That's what they're paying you for. You're paying you.
So what I just used now is my fan brush. Fan brush, you've got to use it while it's clean. Once it gets loaded with paint, it's hard to use. But it's a way of really softening your edges without moving the paint around too much. So I have quite a few of these.
It's
and
like a
this-
blender.
Yeah, it's like a blender, but it has to be clean. That's the trick. I'm just trying to get his chin right. I keep going back and forth in it, which tells me that it's probably not his chin. It's probably something nearby the chin. So that's why you can't keep working in that spot because, see, now I just fixed the mouth a little bit and that looks
Yep.
a little better.
Interesting, yeah. I know an artist, a portrait painter, who deliberately would put an imperfection in the painting. For
I've heard
he was
of
doing
that,
a
too.
commission.
Native Americans do that a lot with things that they do. 'Cause they
But-
say there's only one supreme being.
He did it with the deliberate intent so that the person would come back and say, hey, why do you have a trash can in the corner of the painting? And he said, oh, you don't like the trash can? I'll paint it out.
Oh, I see.
So they're putting their 2 cents in, is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Give the customer what they want.
Yeah.
Very funny.
It's actually smart.
Yeah.
So I need to put a trash can in this?
No, or just like a big red dot, you know?
Oh, all right.
No,
I
I'm
can
just
do
kidding.
that.
You have somebody who's going to totally be smitten by what you've done here. It's beautiful.
Did you ever see Paul George paint?
Paul George is a good friend of mine.
When he takes and in the background, when he puts in the green, and he throws the red dot right in the middle of the whole thing, you know?
He got invited in the Cape Ian Art Association.
Yeah,
But Trish didn't.
really.
Yeah. I know, I was gonna hang out with them, I was gonna stay at their house. No, I'm not, see, my work, because I have to make a living, I find that my really tight work sells. But the stuff that sells is usually the collectors who don't really know about art. It's the juicy stuff that artists appreciate. That's so much harder to do. So I never know what painting, because I can do it all. Like, what painting should I put into the show? So the Cape Ian plein air, I put in 1 plein air and then 2 really highly finished paintings. So I didn't get accepted, it was too finished. Whereas people who put in really loose paintings, that's what they were looking for. But if they had known who I was, they'd realize that I could do both. You see how that just pulled that together?
Yeah,
So you can't freak out. You've got to just keep, I just say like Dory, keep on swimming, keep on swimming. You just got to keep going, and then, you say your prayers. And then hopefully it will come out. Now you work on it another day, that's all. Now Feshen, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's well known for his thick paint, and basically what he uses is a very rough canvas and just kind of skim the thick paint over it. And now he's famous for doing that. So a lot of times artists will get this kind of technique going, and it works for them, and now they become something great because of their technique rather than what they're painting. So this is where you need two people to do a painting, one to paint it and one to tell you you're done. So where would you have your hardest edges? That's where when you close your eyes, the last thing you see before you close your eyes is where your hardest edges should be. So you can really plan that. And just remember, if it's on the light side of the head, it can't be any. This crease can't be darker than this, because it's on the light side of the face, and all that light is diffusing its way into that crease. So on the left-hand side, it has to be a little bit lighter. So I keep wanting to change one thing, and I'm trying all these other things first. So another thing that I like to do at this point too is to turn my painting upside down. Because you can see if something is off, you can see it right away. If there's a color that's sticking out, if there's something that doesn't feel right, it sticks out right away. So at the last minute, I like to do that too. And then I can get to the bottom of this in here.
You're putting Gamsol on
Gamsol. I used to use nothing but Turbinoid Natural for the longest time because it cleaned my brushes better than the Gamsol. So I didn't want to buy two stuff. Then I started using the Gamsol, and I'm like, I'm going to have to use two things because I love it.
I always use Gamsol.
Yeah, I love it. So, you can teach an old bird new tricks. And lately I've been learning a lot of stuff, like trying different brushes, trying different canvases, and so on and so forth. Now see, this is sticking out here, so I just want to add a little of it. See, what I'm seeing is this shirt kind of reflecting back into his neck, so I'm trying to get that balance in there just right, that nice blue note. Because when you have a lot of orange, you got to look for the blue. And then here, I left some of that red in there, that orange. So otherwise, it looks very almost monochromatic.
Diane, you choose to use canvas rather. I know long ago you painted a lot on board.
I do both.
Yeah. But for portraiture, you want that lively surface.
This cloth and linen is lovely to work on. But I've been told now it's better to work on lead primed stuff because it really brings out the glow more. So I'm going to start researching that. And my friend Carolina, she spends like $100 a foot on her canvas.
Wow.
I can't afford that.
Wow.
So how can I make that magic without spending that kind of money?
Yeah.
But I'll try it. I
Yeah.
can try it at least.
I sandpaper my gesso down when I'm doing like portraits, work and stuff like that.
I do a lot of sanding lately too. I just did this painting. It was 52 by 24. It was huge, and I bought the canvas stretched and everything because it was so big. I didn't want to make a mess out of it. And all of a sudden, this flaw happened in the sky. Like like a hole happened. I'm like, what the heck? And it was just done. I already got the approval. And it was like sickening.
Oh, what a nightmare.
So I talked to a couple of appraisers, and they're like, you have to bring it down to this, and then you have to do that, and I'm like, no, I can't do it. So I sanded it. I remembered back in Vespa George, Frazetta used to sand down his boards after every application of paint. So that's what I do a lot now. I'll paint this. Like if I was to work on this again tomorrow, I might, or in a week when it's dry, I might sand it down to get a nice texture to it, and loose edges to bring it back. And so I do that a lot now. I think I got his look now. He doesn't look like Henry Winkler. All right. I think that's as close as we're gonna get in this time here.
Very nice.
Wow,
Really?
yeah.
Very good.
Can you just take a picture?
Autograph.
Yeah, I gotta sign it.
Shall I look that way or at you?
Look how you were looking.
Okay.
Get one.
How'd you make it so easy?
I just bought a new camera because this thing is really one of my favorite cameras.
Towards me.
And it didn't cost much, but it's a little broken.
One of the point and shoots, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'll sign it. And I like to sign mine like, my teacher was Robert Cormier, so I sign my paintings like he used to sign them. But I like to use red because you want your warm, bright colors in the foreground and your cool, dark color, neutral colors in the background. So it almost causes an illusion of space. I remember somebody was saying that somebody was judging a show and they would never allow a person with a red signature to get in. I'm like, that's crazy. But that was just what they did. But I like to do it in red, not to be showy, but because it's just it brings this forward and everything back into space.
What that painter who does the red sails?
Oh,
All his
yeah.
paintings have a red sail.
Yeah, what a gimmick they have.
Yeah, I know.
Even Ann Packard, she has a good gimmick
Oh, I
too. But
know.